Trump has recognized that what has happened with abortion to the Republican Party since Roe v. Wade was overturned has not been good. Trump knows, because he's admitted it publicly, it hasn't gone so well for Republicans since Roe v. Wade was overturned. It was all rah, 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 ginger snaps and waterfalls, while it was let's raise money to overturn Roe v. Wade. Elect me so I can put Supreme Court justices in who will overturn Roe v. Wade. Sure, take my money. But now that it's happened, turns out most people actually think abortion should be legal in most cases. And Republicans have lost everything. They've lost ballot referenda. That's the plural. They've lost actual candidate elections when the candidate runs radically against abortion. And Trump has played it coy by saying, well, I don't know. We don't want to go crazy. And Ron DeSantis has gone crazy on abortion. But we have now learned, thanks to reporting from the New York Times, that Trump is privately expressing support for a 16-week abortion ban with some exceptions. And the way the New York Times is characterizing it is, in supporting a 16-week ban with exceptions, Trump appears to be trying to satisfy social conservatives who want to further restrict abortion access and voters who want more modest limits. But understand that we are talking about a federal ban on abortion. That's the extremity of this. These are the states' rights conservatives who say, well, overturning Roe v. Wade puts it back to being a state issue. And then, which conservative hasn't vomited out the nauseating line, what's right for South Carolina may not be what's right for California, right? Remember Bobblehead Ron talking about that? But then now they're saying, actually, let's make it a federal issue. Let's do a federal ban on abortion. Now, there's a couple different aspects to this. First of all is the practical aspect. As I've said so many times, we have the data from the CDC. When is it that women are getting abortions? 34% are by week 6. The reason it's not higher is tons of women who don't want to be pregnant don't know they're pregnant until after week 6. Week 6 is basically your period is 10 days late. That's it. That week 6 pregnant, that it's basically, oh yeah, it's been like days 7, 8, 9, haven't gotten my period. Oh, I'm pregnant. So when people talk about a 6-week limit, absolutely insane. You then see another 18% of the 19% of the abortions, and this is kind of hard to see. Let's see if we can zoom it in. Another 18% are at week 7. Another 13% are at week 8. What you get to is that already you have 34, 52, 65, 74, 80, 85, 89, 90. Like 92, 95% of abortions are already happening by week 16. So then what's the big deal, David? Why is it that you're so opposed to this federal ban? Well, the problem is these federal bans get in the way of women and doctors simply deciding based on what is medically and psychologically and otherwise right for people. And when you look at the thin tail of this, and you look at the essentially 0% that's happening after week 29 and the 0.01 and 0.02 and 0.03 that's happening there, these are complicated situations. And the last thing we need, by their own statements about states' rights, the last thing we need is the federal government placing more limitations on women when it comes to this procedure. Now, beyond that, this is probably bad policy in terms of winning. Americans today, more than ever since Roe v. Wade, think abortion should be legal in most cases. And so this is both, as Rolling Stone reports, this leak is inflaming Trump's campaign and energizing Democrats. And yes, Democrats need to run on this nonstop. Trump wants a federal abortion ban. Oh, but exceptions. Okay. He wants a federal abortion ban for something that he and other MAGATs and Republicans have been insisting should be left to the states. An even better headline, by the way, accurate, civilly liable rapist Donald Trump wants a federal abortion ban at 16 weeks. That is not the sort of headline that is going to help these Republicans win in November. And it's exactly the accurate sort of headline that should be pushed. So we say, what about policy from Trump? We're not getting much policy. Well, here's two policies: militarized deportations and camps, and a 16-week federal abortion ban. That's the policy we're getting from him. And I guess building the stupid wall that he wasn't able to build last time, why he'll be able to build it this time, I don't know. Let's talk about the policy. The policy's an absolute and total disaster. When I'm working on the show or doing stuff on my computer, staying focused and getting in the zone is super important. It's not always easy. I would try Spotify or YouTube playlists. I'd end up actually more distracted than focused. And then someone told me about Brain FM's focus music, which is actually made by scientists working with musicians specifically to help you focus. I tried it and it worked really well for me, which is why I asked them to be a sponsor. With Brain FM, I just feel more productive and focused, easier to start on difficult work, easier to stay focused without getting distracted and do that really important deep work that I love to talk about. The team behind Brain FM actually won a National Science Foundation grant related to ADHD. And the app includes a special mode just for ADHD if you need it. They even have amazing sleep sounds that I've started using at night. You can try Brain FM totally free for an entire month. Just go to brain.fm/Pacman. The link is down below.